welcome to How's It Going? I'm your host, Leo Young, and today we're going to be talking about the cure for COVID-15. Not COVID-19, but COVID-15. So we'll tell you in a little bit what that is and all you may want to know about it. But before we begin, I want to just start every episode by saying the things we discuss during the show and everything else is just for informational and entertainment purposes only. So before making a material decision, consult the appropriate professional. So with that being said, I want to bring on today's guest. He is a personal trainer and soon-to-be doctorate of physical therapy at Columbia University. Please welcome Jeff Esteves.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you.
How are you, Jeff?
I'm good. I'm doing
Nice. So yeah, I probably missed a lot of points on the introduction, but would you mind just telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Jeffrey Esteves. I just usually go by Jeff. And I studied exercise science at the College of New Jersey, where Leo was actually my roommate.
Yep.
So got to have some good times with that guy. And then in undergrad, I began my personal training career there. I had started off at a commercial gym, and then I did training for civilians and troopers with the state police. And now I am currently training at a YMCA that's newly developed here, which I absolutely love. And I've been going to physical therapy school for the past 2 years at Columbia, 1 year left. Took my last exam on Thursday, actually. So now the rest of it is going to be clinical rotations. So definitely fitness and health are a huge part of my life. So I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. And yeah, Jeff is just, through my experience in college, he's just been such a great wealth of information. While he was studying, he was helping me with general nutrition, how I should be eating and how I should be exercising. And for him, a big important factor for him is functional fitness and not just looking good. So we were talking not too long ago about like people who motivate him, and it's not somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger who's just like big and muscular. I mean, what are you going to do with that? I mean, you could shoot movies and look good, but he likes people that put it to use. So he was talking about this guy who was swimming across the Great Britain. I probably misremember some facts, but feel free to correct me, Jeff.
Yeah. So the guy's name is Ross Edgley. I think he's a great follow on Instagram. He also just put out a book recently that's really interesting. It's called The Art of Resilience. And what I like about it is that he combines modern science. So he makes some great references and citations to current and relevant topics in sports science. Then he also, and I think this is the most important part of the book, makes reference to the lessons learned from people in the past. A lot of people don't like anecdotes because they're not grounded in evidence per se. But I think we could learn a lot from the people who completed these challenges back in the great Roman days or Greek days without the technologies we have today, because they had to rely primarily on like stoicism to get through this, rather than just like the newest carbohydrate supplement, you know? So I like that kind of like utilize the lessons learned from like the warriors of the past, combining it with today's sports science, and kind of relates that into a story of how he swam around Great Britain. Really good read.
Yeah, great. Oh, and I just realized too, the viewers back at home are probably kind of confused why I'm here in my home gym and why we're talking about fitness when it's supposed to be COVID related. Okay, so let's start with what is COVID-15. In a nutshell, and Jeff will elaborate a little bit about this, but in a nutshell, COVID-15 is a variant of the freshman 15 you hear about when you go to college. Because when kids go to school and they have a cafeteria with unlimited food, they tend to learn self-control at some point or another, but usually that comes 15 pounds later. So with the quarantine, with the stay-at-home orders recently, a lot of people have been just hanging out at home, eating whatever they want, ordering stuff on Amazon, and that leads to what we call the COVID-15. So I certainly got it until I got my weight set recently, which I'm really, really grateful for, because I was, I don't know, running was getting a little tiring for me. But yeah, Jeff, that's COVID-15, right?
Just about, yeah. And it's not even necessarily that you had to gain 15 pounds, of course. It's just like this general trend in changes in fitness and body composition that we've seen through COVID. And I want to say, not everyone saw these declines. Actually, looking at my clients, I would say about 75% saw some sort of reduction or increase in challenges associated with COVID, but actually 25% really, it freed up their schedule. Working from home, not commuting into the city for like 3 hours a day actually gave them the time. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, but I would say a lot of people got the worst end of it. So I'm looking forward to giving some recommendations on like what went wrong and what are some strategies to overcome that.
Yeah, definitely. And you hit a really good point. I mean, with the circumstances, your life sort of depends on how you contextualize it, right? Some people are like, oh, what's going on? I got to eat and eat and eat, or there's like very little self-control being at home all the time. You're not in the office where there's like a good environment for you to focus, or to be productive and eat well. You're just at home. There's a bag of chips. I'm gonna go for it. So that's something that I learned quickly, because I remember at the start of quarantine, at one period of time, I'm like, okay, I think this is the third time I baked this week, so I gotta stop. But yeah, it's definitely how you do it.
Having all that time definitely is a challenge for people. And I think that that's, a good segue into like, what's the first thing that was a challenge? And I think that anytime you have a major change in routine, you're going to see challenges with your health and wellness. And I say that because a lot of, humans love routine. A lot of people that regularly exercise, you can ask them like, what's your plan? And I think you'll find a big difference in success between those who are healthy, or let's say fit for this case, and those who are not. And usually the people who have a better wellness program are those who have wellness as part of their routine. So whether it's like a 6 a.m. wake up where they usually work out, or it's consistently after work, or they have a program that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think that the first thing that COVID did to throw people off is completely change their routine, right? So now, not having to go into work, it kind of changed where you were. And think about the people who have kids. Now their kids are home, so they may not just be able to go. And then beyond timing, a lot of people, part of the routine is being somewhere else outside of home. So with the closure of gyms, it kind of just like threw people, a curveball, because like that was their go-to place, was the gym for their wellness. And now that that's not an option, once again, just another beloved part of the routine went away. So that was a major challenge.
Yeah. So that's sort of like the a few main reasons as to why the COVID-15 has been happening, right? Like a big change in routines, and yeah, like your normal habits not being available to you, like the gym, as you said.
Mm-hmm. And some other major reasons. So I would say change of routine is a primary one. I would say even larger than a change of routine is a change in goals, right? So a lot of people have the most success with their wellness programming when they have a specific goal they're working towards. And this is actually the main thing that got me, right? So I was actually training for triathlon prior to, COVID really blowing up. And I had been signed up for an Ironman in July and a half Ironman in September. And that really had me really motivated. I was doing about 15 to 17-hour training weeks. I'm not suggesting that's, the healthiest thing to do, but that's what you complete those ultra endurance events. And as soon as the first cancellation happened, I saw a tremendous drop in my motivation. As soon as Ironman Lake Placid was canceled, like I was just like, damn, like why do I want to go and ride my bike for 3 hours? Like,
Right.
and um, this, it's not just if you're signed up for an Ironman. It's, let's say that you wanted to do a 5K in the summer. Now without that 5K, you're just like, oh, why do I run? Or let's say a lot of people, what gets them motivated is, oh, I have a wedding coming up and I haven't seen my family. I'd love to, drop a few pounds that way. People can notice these changes I've made. And, with all weddings being to Zoom or canceled, now people are like, oh, well, when you put a timeline to something, it definitely helps with motivation. SMART goals, one of the main elements is an element of time. So that's another major thing I would say, a change in goals. And then another major one is we need to look at the social influence of exercise. And I think any workout program or fitness habit with a social element is definitely stronger than one without. So you think about running. Running is very communal. When you think about, like, if you've ever done a race, and I know you've done the Boston Half, how good does it feel to just be running out with everybody, right? It feels like a Bible in a way,
Definitely.
Even think of the gym, right? You may not realize it that, the thing you love about the gym is that there's many people there, but it's like seeing, good old Joe who walks in at the locker room at the same time you do, and you BS with him a little bit, or that person that's always grunting too loud at the squat rack. So these are still micro social interactions that, just keep motivated to get out. Sports, right? A lot of people love sports, not because they're competing, but because they have a family. They have a whole family that you're working towards a goal with. So the social element of exercise being taken away was a major one. So I would say that those three are the main things that kind of contributed to COVID weight gain or COVID loss of fitness, however you want to look at it. So the decreased socialization, right? It would be a decreased emphasis on goals and routine.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, that's great that you say that. So sort of changing routine, changing goals, and sort of the change in the social aspect. I mean, one form or the other sort of impact each individual's fitness and nutrition levels. I know for me, having goals is a big part of it. So as you mentioned, I did the Boston Half Marathon last year, and that was something that when I signed up for it, I think the longest I ran was like 2-3 miles. And I was just, I hate running. Don't get me wrong. I just never liked it, because when you're running, like you always have that thought, like, I'll just stop right now. Right. And like, why should I keep going? And for me, when I signed up for the Boston Half, like that was a big why. It's like, why should I keep going? So I can finish the Boston Half Marathon in 4 weeks. So a goal was a big part of that for me. But, on the other side, having the social aspect isn't as important to me, because when I go to the gym, I put in my headphones and I just bang out my sets, and then I go home. I don't really, shoot the breeze. I don't talk shop with people as much, but people like my mom does. She goes to the gym, always hanging around, like talking to friends, to different people that she sees and wouldn't see otherwise. So those are definitely the 3 main reasons of COVID-15.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just on that too. So now that we've sort of understood a little bit of what causes it, so how do we cure it? I know like COVID-19, like that's being debated right now, like how you can cure that, vaccine, medicine, whatever. But, we're talking about COVID-15 here, right? So what's the cure for it?
Yeah, we're definitely not going to find a vaccine to cure fitness. Saying, and this is probably a bad joke, is steroids, but please don't do that. um,
Yeah.
so, I think what's important to note is that when I was talking about the things that kind of have, you know, been a barrier for people, not once did I mention like the gym, not once did I mention like the specific workouts that are missing, because no matter what, like all you need is your body to really get exercise in, right?
Hmm.
So you want to identify like what are the environmental features that kind of resulted in your decreased motivation or your decreased achievement, right? The first thing is to really try to reflect on that and to identify that barrier. So for me, it was specifically a goal, right? Not having a goal. So something that's worked for me was to I use Strava, which is a kind of like a social media for exercise. And what you have on Strava, it incorporates a community element to it. And let's say there's like a big hill near my house, right? I can see how other people have performed on that hill, how long it took them to run up it. So now, once again, I have a goal, right? It's kind of just like a way to compete with people without actually competing with them on the street, you know? And it's funny because let's say I take somebody's record, they'll get an email if they sign up for emails saying, Jeff from North Arlington beat your record. And then they're going to come back out and do it again. So
Nice.
that's something that's actually really worked for me. And I had a lot of fun with it because I'm very motivated by goals and competition. And I think something else that's another solution is find a new skill, right? Like it's pretty awesome to be motivated. Like it's pretty awesome and easily motivatable. I don't even know to basically have a new skill that you're working towards, right? So let's say you've always been kind of the guy who goes in and does your bench press, your bent over rows. You're really happy with your aesthetic, right? But now you're kind of like, but damn, like my kids like can completely outrun me, you know? Maybe now's the time to start working on cardiovascular fitness, right? So get out there, run, you get a walk, run program, whatever you need. Running is challenging at first until you kind of get the habit of it. You get the breathing in, and you kind of get points used to that repeated weight stress. And then if you need to incorporate social into that, reach out to some friends. I'm sure a lot of people are looking for people to get out and exercise with right now. Of course, socially distant, and incorporate some social support into that. And then with respect to routine, it's really easy to, let's say you have more time now, which I think most people have more time. You need to kind of just let that slip away from you if you're not like planning what you're going to do with your time. So kind of try to develop a routine for yourself. I really do believe that getting a workout in early in the morning is the best way to do things. That's for, I would say, most people, but some people definitely just aren't morning people. I do believe that. But if you can, as Terry Crews says, swallow the frog, just get that part of your day over with, I think it's a great idea to kind of get your workout in earlier in the day.
Definitely. And yeah, I love the idea of swallow the frog. It's like just when you wake up, and for me, I have a morning routine that sort of primes my mind, body, and spirit. So when it's in that prime state, it's just in, I guess, the highest potency to do something big. So you want to just get something hard out of the way, and then the snowball effect sort of carries forward. You achieve one thing, then you can move on to the next. Momentum builds up, and like your day becomes better and better.
Absolutely. It's like the principle of make your bed, Ever heard that I believe he was a Marine made? I read some of the book. I didn't end up finishing it, but he just talks about like beginning your day with a task that you master, right? And for him, it's as simple as like making his bed. That's like the start of a productive cascade, So kind of just getting that first element of the day mastered, completed, and being proud of it. And then you're going to feel that productive energy going forward.
Right. Yeah. So sort of changing up your routines. That's what I heard you mention. So just trying new things out. I mean, maybe now you can't go to the gym, but maybe you can work on some calisthenics. So I'm sort of working on doing a handstand. It's always something that I just wanted to do, like a handstand, a backflip, but I don't know. It's a weird feeling that I'm not accustomed to. So
Yeah.
now, like, if I have a spare moment, I'll just go into the yard. I'll go jump around, maybe, just bang out some weights. But I think that's helpful to just change up the routine and sort of see what's possible for you.
Absolutely. And I rather than just looking at it as like a temporary fill-in, for me, I think it's a huge area of improvement that can both make you a lot more fit when you take into account that it's building on top of a previous experience. And it can totally just completely be that shock to your body that you need to initiate weight gain, initiate weight loss, or build muscle mass, hypertrophy. And what I mean by that is I've never really, I could deadlift, 350, 400, I could bench press. But then I went to a calisthenics gym near me, and I could barely do the monkey bars,
Mm.
My fitness was so limited to a barbell that when I tried to actually do things that like humans should be able to do, like climb across monkey bars or do pull-ups, do a flex just hanging from something, I was extremely weak. And the following day, I was sore. I was sore like I've never worked out in my life. It was that kind of soreness. And I was like, wow, this is such an area of improvement for me. And it's so simple, So, like, you could look at that in two ways. You could go, oh, man, I'm so bad, Or you could just be motivated, like, holy crap, like, there's so much improvement I can make in this area that's just going to make me much more well-rounded in my athleticism. And that's how I saw it. So now I've been doing those calisthenics workouts more. And you'd be surprised. There's actually a good amount of them out in your community. Or just, they'll just have, like, it's all outdoor. They'll have like an arrangement of bars, poles aligned in a way to kind of allow you to practice different movement patterns. And all you got to do, or what I do, is I bring my own wipe, I wear my mask, and I just wipe down the equipment I'm going to be using and make sure that, if anybody is not as conscious as I am of the social distancing, I just, I let them know, hey, would you mind just standing a little bit further? I think most people are understanding of that in this day. But it's find that thing for you and get excited by it.
That's great. I mean, that's a great tip to just working out at home or just, without the equipment that you're necessarily used to. But okay, so I know like we were talking a lot about fitness and just exercising and stuff, but I'm sure like general fitness isn't just exercising. It's sort of like your lifestyle and your nutrition, right? So can you just sort of give us some like maybe general tips as to like how you can sort of have that? I think the guy that told me this said it was like a three-legged stool. You have to balance all three to sort of be healthy.
Yeah. So let's talk nutrition first. Disclaimer, I'm not a registered dietitian. So if you have any specific condition or medical status that requires a very individualized nutrition plan, I recommend you reach out to a dietitian. I can give general guidelines. But yeah, like I said, if you're looking to or modify disease, definitely reach out to a dietitian. So I would say this is a good opportunity for most people to practice a more whole food based diet. A lot of people have more time now to be cooking, and try to surround yourself with whole food ingredients that you're making the food. There's a difference between preparing food and buying prepared food, right? And I think that that's huge. Beyond, how much protein should I eat, how much carbohydrate, I think that that's all secondary, probably even tertiary to what's the quality of your food, right? We don't poison ourselves. We don't want to let's say we're making our food, we're not going to dump in a ton of sugar, a ton of trans fats and preservatives because we're seeing it, right? If when we're making our food, we develop that connection with it and we understand what we're putting in it. When we're buying stuff that's already prepared in the center aisles of the grocery store, we don't know what's in it. We're not connected to our food, and it's easier to lose track of what exactly you're putting into your body. So with respect to nutrition, I kind of challenge you to sign up for like a meal plan like HelloFresh where you prepare food and develop a better understanding and relationship with food. I challenge you to spend 90% of your grocery store trip on the outside aisles where you have the actual ingredients that form food. If you've ever noticed that, most grocery stores have the produce aisle on the outside, the meats on the outside, the dairy, breads, and that's really all you need to make food. Everything in the middle is just a combination of those things prepackaged, right?
Mm-hmm.
I challenge you to kind of, go on a grocery trip where you're really spending time on the outside. Yeah, you got to go to the inside to buy like toilet paper or something. I don't want you to try crafting toilet paper out of zucchini, but yeah. So I would say eating whole foods is probably the biggest thing to try doing, and keep yourself busy. Yes, you could be cooking your food and overeating is still possible. If you're not busy and you don't have things going or a routine, you're kind of, food is pleasant, right? On an evolutionary viewpoint, food is just very pleasant. When we get food, it's reason to be happy. So once you kind of are bored and have nothing to do, your brain's going to be like, food. You're gonna be looking. So try to occupy your day with productive tasks, whether it's and this is a whole separate conversation, but use this time from COVID to really develop yourself in areas that you haven't been able to, when you were busy working 40 plus hours a week and your commute. And I think overall, like you said, that relates to lifestyle. So you need to have the type of lifestyle that's conducive to not being bored and having to find, that temporary pleasure from, consuming a food real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then another point on lifestyle is there's a really bad rap on walking. A lot of people think like walking is for like the elderly. It's if you can't run, right? And that is absolutely false. Like if there's something humans are made to do, it's walk. Like we are walking machines, and walking is extremely beneficial. You need to realize when you're walking that you're completely fighting gravity for a prolonged period of time. It's an amazing postural exercise. It's awesome for your metabolic rate because you're actually utilizing fat to use that energy. It's going to help burn blood glucose. And right now, circulating blood glucose is related to so many diseases. Diabetes is the popular one, but really inflammation has so much to do with all disease states. And just regularly walking, it does a huge role in regulating that glucose. So I really, I say before you even start thinking, how many days a week should I cycle? How many days a week should I lift and do calisthenics? Like, are you getting 10,000 steps a day? Like, that's probably more important because at the end of the day, that's what humans do. We walk, right? And it's so beneficial to actually keep that up because it's going to help strengthen your posture. It's going to help strengthen your joints. Completely weight-bearing activity. And the good thing with walking is you could join that in with other tasks. Like what I do is an audiobook or a podcast, and that makes walking just like a 2-for-1 where I'm working on personal development as well as my own health. My girlfriend likes to walk too, so that's quality time for us together. We're walking. I have a dog, so walking is really just like a human. It's part of the human condition, and we need to embrace that. So, yeah, I would say that people under-emphasize walking.
Got it. That's a great way to put it too, and I appreciate the big extended response. I just had to switch locations real quick just for Zoom because I think we have 3 participants, so they limit us to 40 minutes. So I had to come in and not film on my iPhone just so we can be on 2 screens and then not have that time limit. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna go to, so we covered a lot of sort of tips that people can do just to stay fit during this whole COVID situation. Now, can we talk about just maybe some common mistakes people make that you see?
So common mistakes. Um, I would say outside of what we spoke about with people undervaluing just regular physical activity like walking, like yard work, like gardening, and not thinking of that as exercise, I would say thinking that you need the gym. Um, I think the gym is a fun place to be. Like I like going to the gym as well, but you definitely don't need the gym. You can do so much resistance training with your own body, right? And resistance training really just refers to utilizing resistance or extra weights to strengthen a muscle or strengthen a body part. So your body, well, in my case, my body's about 190 pounds. That's resistance. That's quite a bit of weight, right? So if I could learn how to utilize that and put muscles under tension under that weight, that's similar to getting a workout in with weights, right? So definitely master some of the fundamental movements like pull-ups, like squats, push-ups, planks, and then utilize household objects to train other groups, right? So what I had my clients doing early on when it was just Zoom workouts is I had them buy water gallons. Water gallons are about 9 pounds. So you could do some things like lateral raises, bent over rows, shoulder press. You guys could always Google these moves if you're not familiar with what they are. Bicep curls, tricep extensions, many things you could do to utilize those accessory muscle groups. But like I said, those are accessory muscle groups. A lot of the primary muscle groups you can hit with just simple movements without any extra equipment. So I think a mistake is not utilizing your own body. I think another mistake is just not being productive. I think it's too easy when you're not in a productive mindset to just forget and to keep pushing tasks off. And I think that that's the biggest thing. I don't think it's the closure of gyms. I think it's that people have so much extraneous time and on their hands and they don't really know what to do with it. So it turns into 4.5 hours of FIFA, like, or that's what happens to me if I'm not on top of it.
Right.
I don't know if it's necessarily like a specific mistake that's leading to this. I think it's just a combination of elements, just like anything else does.
Yeah. Okay. And I like how you mentioned the pull up and stuff. So me, like over like the past few months, I sort of accumulated some fitness equipment. So, aside from the plates I had downstairs for, benching, squatting, and the weight movements, I have a couple dumbbells I leave in the living room, and then I have a pull-up bar that I put over just a random doorway. So whenever I go by these places, I just do a couple sets of bicep curls. Maybe I do a couple pull-ups. I mean, it doesn't really take a lot of effort in the time, but throughout the whole day, I mean, if you count it up, you could do like 50 pull-ups before you even know it.
Absolutely. And spreading out 50 pull-ups throughout the day is probably more effective, or I would say it definitely is more effective than doing 50 pull-ups in one sitting, right? Because that's actually keeping your metabolic rate engaged throughout the whole day. Kind of having that environment that fosters physical activity is huge. And I guess just to shift this conversation over to you a little bit, I want you to think about what was like the most effective program you've done in your life, or most effective bout of fitness training, and what was going on? Like, what was it about the program that you liked? What was your nutritional environment like? And what was your general lifestyle like that promoted that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So two sort of periods of my life come to mind. So the first one and the most recent one was when I was training for the half marathon. I sort of just followed along the Boston half marathon training program. So they tell you to run, 4 miles on Tuesday, 8 miles on Thursday, blah blah, and sort of that got me into the rhythm and listening to Nike Run Club. That's very useful. That's an alternative to Strava, similar. And that sort of helped me. And naturally, my mind sort of just geared towards eating healthy because after a 6 mile run, I feel like just eating some salmon, drinking some, I don't know, protein shake. I didn't feel like eating fries or anything. Just naturally, I didn't feel like it. And that's an interesting feeling.
Yeah. So some key things that you mentioned were that there was structure to it. There was a plan. The Nike Run Club app is great for keeping that structure. You had a specific goal. In that case, it was to run 13.1 miles. And I think it's a really interesting point you brought up, that you're more motivated to eat well in the presence of fitness, right? When you were out and about moving. And I think that's huge. A lot of people ask me, what do I think is more important, fitness or diet? And the technical answer is going to be diet, but my real answer is usually fitness, because I usually say that, and I usually experience that if you're getting exercise in, it motivates you to eat well. And I don't think the other end is true. I think many people can eat well and not be motivated to exercise, right? I think that focusing on exercise, you're going to be focused on providing your body with the clean energy to perform well in that exercise. And that's going to translate over to diet. So in terms of where do I suggest people direct their attention, I usually say towards the exercise elements of things. And I think that the diet will kind of be filled in usually, more so than if it were the other way around.
Gotcha. Okay. That's great that you say that. And sort of with that being said, we're sort of running out of time today. So I just want to briefly summarize what we've been through. So we sort of spoke about what the whole COVID-15 is, or just the general change in people's routines, goals, and environment sort of contributes to a change in lifestyle. You know, why it happens, how you can sort of prevent it and become healthier again. And we also went through some tips to work out with what you have. So maybe working out at home or without a gym, and just sort of some misconceptions and some commonly asked questions that people have just on general fitness. I will say too, just to remind you all, if you want to connect with Jeff, I'll put all his information down in the video below. If you want to find more useful tips on how to eat better, live better, and feel better, definitely check it out. Jeff, would you mind just briefly saying how people can connect with you?
Sure. So I actually recently created a company that I'm looking to build. It's called Protein Fitness, and I have an Instagram for it. I believe it's at Protein Fitness, but I'll update Leo right after this to make sure, and we'll post it in the description. You could also connect with me on Facebook. I also post on Facebook about these things. And if you have any questions, you could email me. Whether, I would love to help you with identifying something that you can do to stay active, or if you need some nutritional guidance, I could also help you with that. So yeah, I'll share those resources with Leo, but the main thing is definitely that Protein Fitness Instagram page.
Yep. Awesome. And to wrap up, Jeff, can you tell us what is one thing that you cannot live without?
Two things are coming to mind, and they're battling for my heart. It's coffee and running. I'll talk about running, because I guess it's a little more appropriate. Running to me is something I can't live without. So when I feel antsy or kind of agitated or in some way like off balance, if I go for a run and then I find some hill and run up it and it just allow it to kick my ass, I'm not frustrated anymore. Like, the only thing I'm focused on is, holy crap, And to me, it's just like such a good feeling to be able to reset that way and for it to be so productive and healthy. I think it's that's, to me, my healthiest coping strategy with stressors. So I think running is something I absolutely cannot live without.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Jeff. With that being said, we're out of time today. For those of you listening back home, thank you all so much for joining in. I really hope you learned something useful from Jeff and I's discussion today. If you want to connect with Jeff, his information is below, and so is mine. Jeff, anything else to add before we end for the day?
Just stay well and be kind to each other.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. All right. Well, Jeff, thanks for coming on. Have a great day. Those of you back home, stay well, be safe, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Leo.